25. The Statement Sent to Mount Hiei by Genku. I have long wandered in the delusive three realms of transmigration. In which realm was I abiding, preventing me from encountering the emergence of Buddha Sakyamuni? In which of the four modes of birth, in the delusive worlds of transmigration, was I abiding, preventing me from listening to the sermons of Tathagata Sakyamuni? I was not present when Buddha Sakyamuni preached the Flower Garland Sutra, not present at the assembly where he delivered his discourse on the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, not present to hear his sermon on Vulture Peak, and not present at the Crane Forest on the occasion of Buddha Sakyamuni's entrance into Parinirvana. Could I have been born in a house of Shravasti where lived the 300 million people who were unaware of even the name of Buddha Sakyamuni? Or could I have been at the bottom of one of the 8 hot hells? I am overcome with regret. This is indeed grievous. Now, then, I have wandered for innumerable eons and have finally received life in the world as a human being, a state extremely difficult to realize. After myriad eons, I have fortunately encountered the precious teaching of Buddha Sakyamuni. Though it is lamentable, I did not have the opportunity to meet Buddha Sakyamuni during his lifetime. I am profoundly grateful to exist as a man during an era when his teachings proliferate. It is as if a blind turtle were to find the hole in a piece of driftwood afloat on the ocean. The spread of Buddhism in this country began with its introduction on the first day of the 10th month in the winter of the 13th year of the Monkey and Water, 552 CE, during the reign of Emperor Kinmei. Before this, in this country, neither the teachings of Tathagata Sakyamuni nor listening to the way of enlightenment existed. By whatever residual karmic causes, by whatever virtuous deeds we have accumulated in a previous existence, we have been born in a world where the teaching of Buddha Sakyamuni prevail, and we are able to listen to the way of enlightenment out of the delusive worlds of samsara. We have now had the good fortune to experience a precious encounter with the teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni. To continue to live in idleness without embracing his teachings would be lamentable indeed. Some waste away long spring days just staring at splendid flowers in the golden glen. Some while away long autumn nights, gazing at the beautiful harvest moon visible from the southern mansion. The years fly by for others who spend time in pursuit of food on cloud-covered mountains. Still, others float on the ocean, looking for bounties of the deep. Some live through crushing ice in the severe winter, while others toil for gainful living by the sweat of their brows. Some are encumbered by the ties of affection for wives, children, and relatives, and find it too difficult to cut the attachment, while others are unable to rid themselves of the fire of anger for those who have wronged them. Thus goes the life of people, dawn to dusk, day and night, whether they are walking, standing, sitting, or lying down. They exist for themselves, and their desires accumulate undesirable karma, which will with certainty lead them to the 3 lower realms and the 8 difficult conditions in their future lives. Therefore, a sutra describes 840 million delusive thoughts arise every single day in the heart of man, and each of these thoughts is the karma that will condemn him to the 3 lower realms. Thus did night fall yesterday, and so, purposeless, the morning dawns today. How many more empty days and nights await us? The petals of the beautiful flower that blooms in the morning are lightly scattered by the breeze of nightfall. Dewdrops of the evening disappear in the light of the morning sun. Unaware of the impermanence of life, man always seeks to prosper. Unaware of the frailty of life, man hopes for longevity. However, once the wind of impermanence blows, life disappears permanently, as if it were a dewdrop. Man's mortal body is left in the wilderness, and his spirit is sent to some distant mountaintop. Eventually, moss gathers over the dead body, while the spirit continues to wander alone in the sky. The wives, children, and relatives who remain in the home do not accompany him, and his storehouse, filled with the 7 kinds of precious jewels and 10,000 treasures, are of no avail. He takes with him only bitter tears of regret. In time, this man appears before the judgment seat of King Yama, the Lord of the realm of the dead, who evaluates the degree of guilt and the karma of the departed and determines their future. The king asks, having been born in a world where the teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni prevailed, why did you come back without having practiced them? How can we respond? I implore you here and now to embark upon your search for the way to deliverance from the delusive worlds. Never return to the 3 lower realms. In the various teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni, there are exoteric and esoteric teachings, Mahayana Buddhism and Hinayana Buddhism, the expedient and true teachings. and many commentaries. And many commentaries. Buddhism was divided into 8 schools in Japan, the teachings of which are quite diverse. One school teaches the emptiness of all existence. Another clarifies the essence of the ultimate reality of all phenomena. Another establishes the theory of the 5 distinctive natures of sentient beings based on their capabilities. Yet another discusses the fact that all sentient beings innately possess Buddha nature. Every school argues the superiority of its doctrines, asserting that its doctrines are profound and right. Undoubtedly, these are all true teachings expounded in sutras and commentaries. These are the golden words of the Tathagata Sakyamuni. Buddha Sakyamuni delivered his teachings in accordance with the potential and circumstances of the people. Therefore, it would be impossible to determine which is shallow or which is profound. That is his teaching, and this is also his teaching. One must not be obsessed by the teaching of one or another. Consequently, practicing according to the interpretation of any school will result in total extrication from the delusive worlds of samsara. Practicing according to the teaching of each school will equally enable you to realize enlightenment. To be critical of other schools and to argue about advantages and disadvantages without practicing their teachings is like the sightless debating shades of color or the hearing impaired debating voice quality. Hence, one should practice the teaching of the school in which one believes. The teaching of every school paves the way to detachment of the delusive worlds of samsara. In recent times, however, students of one school are envious of another school. Students tout one sutra over another. For this reason, the unschooled becomes doubtful, uncertain which teaching he should believe. Those with minimal aptitude become confused. One gets embroiled in disputes with other schools when one embraces the teachings of a particular school, hoping to accumulate merit. On the other hand, if one attempts to study a broad spectrum of the teachings of various schools, one's lifetime will be too short. It is said that there is an elixir of life in the 3 divine mountains in China, called Mount Panglai, Mount Fanchang, and Mount Jingchao. One may wish to take this elixir and extend one's life in order to learn the teachings of all the schools in turn. But, not knowing where these mountains are, there is no way to pinpoint their location. Emperor Shi Huangdi, 259 to 210 BC, of the Qin dynasty, and Emperor Wu, 156 to 87 BC, of the Han dynasty, sent couriers to look for this elixir. However, young boys and girls spent long years aboard ships, getting old, while seeking the elixir. It is said that Pensu, a fictitious Chinese hermit, lived for 700 years. But this is an ancient legend. There is no record that this was accomplished. The Dharma master, Tan Luan of China, was one who had a thorough understanding of the Buddha Dharma. He believed that one's life may end tomorrow. Therefore, he learned the teaching of the longevity of Taoism in order to further study Buddhism. At that time, an Indian Tripitaka master named Bodhiruchi was living in China. Tan Luan visited Bodhiruchi and asked, "Is there any teaching in Buddhism regarding longevity and immortality superior to that of the teaching of Taoism?" Bodhiruchi spat on the ground and answered, "Ridiculous. Where on earth is there a text with instructions for longevity? No matter how long a life man enjoys, it is only a part of transmigration in the delusive triple realms." Bodhiruchi then entrusted to Tan Luan the meditation sutra there, saying, "This is the great teaching of immortality. If you practice following the instructions of this meditation sutra, you will be able to attain deliverance through detachment from the delusive worlds of samsara. Tanluan, upon receiving the meditation sutra, set fire to his Taoist texts. Set fire to his Taoist texts. Set fire to Bodhiruchi, then entrusted to Tanluan the meditation sutra there, saying, "This is the great teaching of immortality. If you practice following the instructions of this meditation sutra, you will be able to attain deliverance through detachment from the delusive worlds of samsara." Tanluan, upon receiving the meditation sutra, set fire to his Taoist texts. Tanluan then practiced based on the meditation sutra and composed the commentary on the practice of Pure Land Buddhism. Thereafter, the teachings of Pure Land Buddhism were transmitted in China from Tanluan to Tao Chao to Shantao, Huaycan, and Shaokang, D. 805. Consequently, if we consider these facts of the tradition of Pure Land Buddhism, we must practice according to the instructions of the Meditation Sutra in order to perpetuate the eternal life in the future world. The meditation master Tao Chao, in his collection of passages on the blissful land, established the theory of the Holy Gate and Pure Land Gate in accordance with these Pure Land traditions. The Holy Gate teaches one to attain enlightenment in this defiled world by eradicating one's worldly passions. On the other hand, the Pure Land Gate teaches one to achieve birth in the Pure Land of Amida Buddha, where one will then eradicate worldly passions and attain enlightenment. From the standpoint of Jodo Shu, the karmic cause for birth in the Pure Land, described in the Meditation Sutra, is not a single practice. A variety of practices exist, such as the practices of the 3 meritorious acts, the 9 grades of aspirants for birth in the Pure Land, and the 13 objects of meditation with a focused mind. Each has a different and inevitable karmic result. The 13 objects of meditation with a focused mind involve meditation on 1, the setting sun, 2, the pure water of the Pure Land, 3, the ground of the Pure Land, 4, the jewel trees of the Pure Land, 5, the jeweled lakes of the Pure Land, 6, the jeweled pavilions of the Pure Land, 7, the flower throne of the Pure Land, 8, the figure of Amida Buddha, 9, the true physical features of Amida Buddha, 10, the physical features of Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, 11, the physical features of Bodhisattva Mahastamaprapta, 12, the state of one's own birth in the Pure Land, and 13, the figures of Amida Buddha, the Bodhisattvas, and all beings in the Pure Land. The 9 grades of aspirants for birth in the Pure Land with a distracted mind means 1, making an effort toward filial piety, faithfully serving teachers and elders, having a compassionate heart without taking any form of life, and undertaking the 10 virtuous acts. 2, upholding the 3 jewels, observing various precepts, and maintaining proper deportment. 3, awakening the heart of enlightenment having profound faith in the karmic causality, reciting the Mahayana scriptures, and encouraging those who practice the way to practice the way to enlightenment. The 9 grades points to the 9 divisions of the practice of the 3 meritorious acts for birth in the Pure Land. This is described in detail in the Meditation Sutra. As a rule, no practice for attaining birth in the Pure Land is omitted in the meditative practices with a focused mind or with a distracted mind. Accordingly, perform any practice you have a close connection to. Amass the merits of endeavor. Follow the teaching that appeals to you, and you will attain birth in the Pure Land. Do not have any doubts. From the standpoint of Jodo Shu, there are indeed the 13 types of the meditative practices with a focused mind. And there are the 9 grades of karmic causes with a distracted mind. However, if one attempts the meditative practice with a focused mind, the stallion of illusions begins to rage in one's heart and goes on a stampede within the 6 objects corresponding to the 6 sensory organs. And if one attempts to devote oneself to the meditative practices with a distracted mind, illusory thoughts may lead one to commit the 10 transgressions, much like a monkey flitting from tree to tree. It is impossible to calm the stallion and to stop the monkey. The explanation of the 3 grades in the low category of birth in the Pure Land, cited in the Meditation even those who have committed the 10 transgressions or the 5 grave offenses will attain birth in the Pure Land if, at the time of death, they encounter a virtuous teacher and recite the name of Amida Buddha once or 10 times. We must admit that this practice of reciting Nembutsu is the most appropriate teaching for us. Hasyang Chun of China was a villain who renounced his monastic ordination and returned to secular life 7 times. When his life ended, a demon guardian of hell took him to the court of King Yama and described him as Seung Chun, the top villain in the world of human beings who returned to secular life 7 times. Hasyang Chun then, with a loud voice, shouted, "I read the Meditation Sutra while I had life, and I am certain that there I learned that a person who has committed the 5 grave offenses may attain birth in the Pure Land, will attain birth in the Pure Land of ultimate bliss by reciting the name of Amida Buddha 10 times. Although I returned to secular life 7 times, I have not committed the 5 grave offenses. Although my virtuous roots are few, I have recited Nembutsu more than 10 times. If I am condemned to hell, it would mean that various Buddhas in the past, present, and future have transgressed the commitment against falsehood. The king was impressed by this logic, tipped his jeweled crown, and bowed in reverse. Then, as he had avowed, Amida Buddha placed Hasyang Chun on the golden lotus platform and received him into the Pure Land. Birth in the Pure Land is possible because we are not people who return to secular life 7 times, and we've recited Nembutsu throughout our lives. The senior Master Genshin of Ryogonin Temple wrote, Nembutsu does not discriminate between male and female, or noble and humble practitioners. Neither does it question the practice of recitation while walking, standing, sitting, or lying down. Nor does it question time, place, and various karmic relationships. Reciting Nembutsu is an easy practice. Nembutsu becomes the sole agent in my aspiration for birth in the Pure Land until the time of my death. This is the genuine teaching, indeed. Master Shanta also commented on the Meditation Sutra as follows. Due to the request of Queen Vaidehi, the great Lord Buddha Sakyamuni of this world of anguish extensively expounded on the significant teaching for birth in the Pure Land. The great Master Amida Buddha of the Pure Land of ultimate bliss also established the universal vow. This significant teaching for birth in the Pure Land applies to the instruction of the meditative practices with a focused mind and with a distracted mind described in the Meditation Sutra. The focused mind means to eliminate restlessness. The focused mind means to eliminate restlessness in order to concentrate deeply on the realm of Buddha Sakyamuni. The distracted mind refers to eliminating unwholesome acts and cultivating virtuous deeds. One should aspire for birth in the Pure Land while dedicating merit derived from these 2 types of meditative practices. The meaning of the universal vow is similarly explained in the larger sutra. The attainment of birth in the Pure Land by all common people, both the good and bad, is realized by the great power of the essential vow of Amida Buddha. The total reliance on this power of the essential vow is considered the dominant karmic relationship for the Nembutsu devotee. Further, the real intention of Buddha Sakyamuni was so extensive and profound that it is extremely difficult to understand his teachings. Even the bodhisattvas who have reached the stages of the threefold wisdom and the stages from the 41st to the 50th of the 52 stages of bodhisattva practice cannot comprehend his teachings perfectly. How much can we, common mortals with distracted thoughts, who have not reached even the first 10 of the 52 stages of bodhisattva practice, know the true intention of Buddha Sakyamuni? Respectfully and with deep consideration, I believe that Buddha Sakyamuni encourages us to extricate ourselves from this world of anguish, and that Amida Buddha will come to welcome us into the Pure Land. Hither, Buddha Sakyamuni sends us, and thither, Amida Buddha calls us. How can we remain here, refusing to be born in the Pure Land? Master Shantao thus mentioned the three ways of teaching. That is, the meditative practices with a focused mind, the meditative practices with a distracted mind, and the universal vow of Amida Buddha. The universal vow is described in the larger sutra. If, when I, Amida Buddha, am to attain Buddhahood, all sentient beings in the 10 directions who hold faith with genuine hearts and who wish to be born in my Buddha land are not born there. Within just 10 moments of being mindful of me, I will not realize enlightenment. Amida Buddha did, indeed, attain Buddhahood and presently resides in the Pure Land. It should be known that his essential vow was not made in vain. If sentient beings recite his name, they will, with certainty, attain birth in the Pure Land. Moreover, in the Meditation Sutra, after Buddha Sakyamuni has expounded on the two types of meditation, with focused and with distracted minds, it states, Buddha Sakyamuni addressed Ananda, "Thou, Ananda, hold these words carefully in your heart. To keep these words means to keep in mind the name of the Buddha of immeasurable life, Amida Buddha." This statement reveals the true intention of the universal vow of Amida Buddha. Master Shantao also points to the passage of the perception of the true physical features of Amida Buddha, described in the Meditation Sutra. The color of the body of Amida Buddha is similar to that of a golden mountain. The rays of light emanating from his special physical features, shine over the 10 directions. However, the light illuminates and embraces only the Nembutsu practitioners. It should be known that this is where the influence of the essential vow is most evident. This interpretation also reveals the meaning of the universal vow. The smaller sutra states, one cannot be born in the Pure Land through dependence on the merit of a few virtuous roots. If a good man and good woman who, upon hearing the merit of the name of Amida Buddha, hold steadfast to his name in their minds with utmost concentration and without distraction, and earnestly recite his name for 1 day, 2 days, or 7 days, they will attain birth in the Pure Land when their lives are nearing the end and their minds are free from distractions. The passage following the above paragraph in the smaller sutra states, manifold Buddhas in the 6 directions, as countless as the grains of sand in the Ganges, extended their broad and long tongues throughout the 3,000 great thousand worlds, and proclaim that Nembutsu would indeed cause one's birth in the Pure Land. You should believe in the teachings of the smaller sutra. This passage also explains the meaning of the universal vow. Further, the Sutra of the Samadhi of all Buddha's presence states, Bodhisattva Bhadrapala asked Amida Buddha, what kind of practice will allow me to attain birth in the Pure Land? Amida Buddha replied, those who wish to be born in my land can do so by reciting my name ceaselessly. These are the words of Amida Buddha himself regarding the essence of the universal vow. Regarding the essence of the Buddha's universal vow. The record of Holy Chulin Temple on Mount Wutai of China describes as follows. The meditation master Fa Chao was met by 2 boys. Upon arrival at Holy Chulin Temple on Mount Qinglin, one boy was named Shansa and the other was named Nantok. Ushered into the temple by the 2 boys, Fa Chao entered the lecture hall and found Bodhisattva Samantabhadra surrounded by countless attendants. Bodhisattva Manjushri was also seated, surrounded by 10,000 bodhisattvas. Fa Chao paid homage to Bodhisattva Manjushri and asked, which practice should common mortals pursue in the period of the decline of the Dharma? Bodhisattva Manjushri replied, you should now practice the recitation of Nembutsu. This indeed is the appropriate time. Fa Chao continued, which Buddha's name should I recite? Bodhisattva Manjushri replied, in the Western world, beyond this world, resides Amida Buddha. The vow of Amida Buddha is profound indeed. You should recite his name. The great sage Bodhisattva Manjushri averred thus before Fa Chao's eyes. From the standpoint of an extensive view, it is said that the Nembutsu practice is taught in various Buddhist schools. However, there is not enough time to expound on this teaching here. Nonetheless, there are scholarly monks in various schools today who criticize the spread of the teaching of Nembutsu, saying that the Buddha Dharma will be destroyed as a result. Accordingly, many people are said to have ceased their practice of reciting Nembutsu. This is very difficult to understand. The teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni will not perish for 10,000 years. Even if there are attempts to destroy it, there are many heavenly beings and virtuous deities who protect the Buddha Dharma. Destroying it is beyond human power. This is similar to the historical fact that Minister of State Manonobe no Moriya attempted to destroy the Buddha Dharma when Buddhism was introduced into Japan, and yet it has endured until the present day. It is impossible to destroy the Buddha Dharma through the power of ignorant priests and lay people, through the recitation of Nembutsu. The Hasso school and Sanron school will not perish, and neither will the Tendai school or Kegon school. Do followers of other schools expect their schools to flourish if Nembutsu recitation comes to an end? The result would only be a meaningless cessation of Nembutsu. And it is impossible to study the essential teachings of all the schools anyway. This would be a grievous loss for the Buddha Dharma. Scholars of the profound teachings of various schools who are in the southern capital, Nara, and northern capital, Kyoto, and the priests of the head temples who study the great teachings of the Diamond Realm and the Womb Realm of esoteric Buddhism should not alter their own beliefs, regardless of whether 1 or 10 million Nembutsu devotees proliferate in this world. Conversely, Nembutsu should not be abandoned due to the belief that it would cause the decline of the Buddha Dharma. To believe thus is analogous to facing lions while trying to escape from tigers and wolves. Nembutsu is also the teaching of Buddha Sakyamuni. To vilify Nembutsu, or Buddhist practices other than Nembutsu, is a serious transgression. To be harmed by tigers or wolves, or to be harmed by lions, will ultimately result in death. Therefore, this Nembutsu teaching must not be vilified. Teachings other than Nembutsu must not be privileged. Both are teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni. Believers in the teachings of all schools should not be too obsessed with their beliefs. The sutra resolving doubts regarding the period of the imitative Dharma states that if the practitioners of the threefold discipline of the precepts, meditation, and wisdom defame each other, they will fall into hell faster than an arrow flies. The great commentary on the perfection of wisdom also teaches that even a practitioner who observes the Buddhist precepts will not escape agony in hell if, out of deep attachment to his own school, he criticizes people who are followers of other schools. Master Shantou thus stated, "At the very moment when the world-honored one was coming to the end of his sermon, he entrusted, with great care, the name of Amida Buddha to Ananda. With the passage of time, after the death of Buddha Sakyamuni, the 5 defilements proliferated, and many people began to slander the teaching of Nembutsu. To slander the teaching of Nembutsu. Monastics and lay people alike began to dislike the teaching of Nembutsu and ceased listening to it. This gave rise to the poison of anger, and when they saw Nembutsu practitioners, they struggled to incite intrigue and create grudges. Such people seem blind by nature and have no intrinsic goodness, destroying the teaching designed for the instantaneous realization of enlightenment. They will sink into the 3 lower realms for a long time. They will never be released from the 3 lower realms, even though innumerable eons pass, more numerous than the number of particles released in the explosion of the earth. Practitioners of Nembutsu must not vilify practices other than Nembutsu. This would be counter to the compassionate vow of Amida Buddha. By the same token, followers of practices other than Nembutsu should also refrain from vilifying Nembutsu. Such an act would be counter to the vows of various Buddhas. Nevertheless, from the temple halls of Shingon and Tendai schools today, criticism of Nembutsu can be heard beyond their doors. At the same time, devotees of the single-hearted of the devotees of the single-hearted an exclusive recitation of Nembutsu sit on the floor and are equally critical of practices other than Nembutsu. These people are steeped in bias, justify their self-serving belief, determining that they are right and others are wrong, interpreting the teachings of other schools in their own way. This does not mean that these interpretations are appropriate. They are in contradiction with the true intention of Amida Buddha. Some who criticize Nembutsu say, there are Nembutsu devotees now who interpret Nembutsu conveniently, claiming that one who is afraid of committing negative karma has no faith in the essential vow. Reciting Nembutsu many times indicates doubt that a single Nembutsu will suffice for birth in the Pure Land. As far as karmic practice for birth in the Pure Land is concerned, a single utterance or 10 repetitions of Nembutsu will suffice. Therefore, one should not repeat Nembutsu. As for negative karma, even a person who commits the 4 grave offenses and 5 grave offenses will also attain birth in the Pure Land, and therefore one should not be afraid to commit wrongdoings. These are entirely groundless ideas. They are not found in the teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni, nor are they found in the interpretation of Master Shanto. Those who interpret Nembutsu in this way are contrary to the spirit of all Buddhas and are not in accord with the essential vow of Amida Buddha. The Meditation Sutra clarifies that attaining birth in the Pure Land is possible through a single utterance or 10 repetitions of Nembutsu by one who has committed the 5 grave offenses or the 10 transgressions. This does not mean, however, that one should commit the 5 grave offenses and then recite Nembutsu 10 times, or commit the 10 transgressions and utter Nembutsu once. Rather, recite Nembutsu 10 times while observing the 10 cardinal Mahayana precepts. While be mindful also of the lesser 48 Mahayana precepts, while heavily relying upon the 48 vows of Amida Buddha. I, Honen, earnestly desire this. In general, to whatever Buddhist practice you devote yourself, you must keep in mind that observance of the precepts is a protection. It is a protection like swimming with a life preserver. Your demeanor must be beyond reproach, as deliberate as if you were walking with a vessel brimming with oil, without a drop of spillage. Otherwise, the goal of your practice cannot be attained and your wish cannot be realized. In reality, however, we have perpetrated the 4 grave offenses or are guilty of committing the 10 transgressions. Every one of us is karmically defiled in that we've committed these grave offenses. In that we have committed these grave offenses, in that we've committed these grave offenses in that we've committed in general to whatever Buddhist practice you devote yourself. You must keep in mind that observance of the precepts is a protection, like swimming with a life preserver. Your demeanor must be beyond reproach, as deliberate as if you were walking with a vessel brimming with oil, without a drop of spillage. Otherwise, the goal of your practice cannot be attained, and your wish cannot be realized. In reality, however, we have perpetuated the 4 grave offenses and are guilty of committing the 10 transgressions. Every one of us is karmically defiled in that we have committed these grave offenses and wrongful acts. No one is without reproach. Various Buddhas of the past, present, and future have admonished, do not indulge in unwholesome acts, but cultivate virtuous deeds. Those who are virtuous will be reborn in a favorable world. Those who are non-virtuous will fall into a defiled world. If one who hears this law of causation continues to engage in unwholesome deeds, it is futile to admonish him. This is not the first time it has been said that we should strive to avoid unwholesome karma within our capabilities and practice Nembutsu in aspiration of birth in the Pure Land as often as we possibly can. If Amida Buddha does not abandon even a non-virtuous person, how could he have antipathy toward the good person? To say that one who fears committing a negative karma doubts the essential vow is absolutely false in Jodo Shu. The words, one will attain birth in the Pure Land with just a single utterance, or 10 repetitions of Nembutsu, is the golden saying of Buddha Sakyamuni. This is clearly taught in the Meditation Sutra. Master Shantao interpreted this to mean, one should also have unshakable faith that one who recites the name of Amida Buddha as few as 10 times or even just once will with certainty attain birth in the Pure Land. This implicit belief is called the profound heart. Master Shantao continues, to recite single-heartedly and exclusively the name of Amida Buddha while walking, standing, sitting, or lying down without regard for length of time, and to engage in the recitation of Nembutsu without cessation throughout one's life. This is called the rightly established practice because it is in accordance with the essential vow of Amida Buddha. This means that Master Shantao encouraged us from the standpoint of faith to believe birth in the Pure Land is attainable with just a single utterance of Nembutsu. From the standpoint of practice, however, the recitation of Nembutsu should continue in earnest for life. How can it be said that one does not believe in the power? How can it be said that one does not believe in the power of the essential vow when that person believes in the truth of the essential vow, accumulates the merits of Nembutsu, and maintains a pure and sincere heart for many years, relying upon the power of the essential vow is the Soul means to enable common mortals with minimal potential to attain birth in the Pure Land. If one does not embrace belief in his compassionate power, the path to birth in the Pure Land is closed. Generally speaking, manifold Buddhas in the 10 directions attain Buddhahood in this delusive world of suffering in order to lead sentient beings to the way of deliverance. While Amida Buddha realized Buddhahood in the Pure Land and made the essential vow in order to save sentient beings from suffering in the delusive world. Buddha Sakyamuni attained enlightenment. Buddha Sakyamuni achieved enlightenment in this world and, after a short stay, entered parinirvana. He tailored the Dharma to suit the capacities of mortals for their convenience. The Buddhas who attain Buddhahood in their pure Buddha lands are regarded as rewarded Buddhas, and their pure Buddha lands are considered the Buddha lands where outstanding bodhisattvas reside. Fundamentally, common mortals who have not severed themselves from worldly passions are unable to be born in a pure Buddha land straight away. However, unlike the other Buddhas, Amida Buddha, residing in his Pure Land, is practicing even now to lead them to the path to birth in the Pure Land. His intent is to lead common mortals who commit undesirable deeds, have no virtues, and are wandering among the delusive worlds of samsara endlessly to birth in the Pure Land. He has pity and extends his compassion, desiring to save from suffering those who violate the precepts, are ignorant, and have no chance of detaching themselves from the delusive worlds of transmigration. It may be said that only those holy beings who have attained the threefold wisdom and the 10 bodhisattva stages, after endeavoring for a long period, and the high-ranking bodhisattvas who have mastered the 6 bodhisattva perfections and other virtuous practices, are able to be born in the Pure Land. This is not the true intention of the great compassion of Amida Buddha. Amida Buddha, embracing the theory that endeavor begets merit, and with immeasurable compassion in his heart, delineated the way of deliverance for all sentient beings. For the endless period of 5 eons, Amida Buddha employed various skillful means to seek the way of deliverance, and thus avowed, I, Amida Buddha, having fulfilled my essential vow, and having resided in the Pure Land, should lead common mortals with minimal potential to attain birth in the Pure Land. It is impossible for them to achieve this goal by their own karmic power. For these people, I will spend countless eons observing innumerable austere practices, completing tens of thousands of admirable practices and virtuous deeds, and attaining the practice that brings enlightenment to both myself and other beings. Through these efforts, I will attain Buddhahood, having acquired all virtuous and undefiled merits. I will see that my name embodies these merits, and I will induce sentient beings to utter my name. If sentient beings believe in the essential vow and recite my name, they will realize birth in the Pure Land, in accordance with the essential vow. This is because I vowed that my attainment of Buddhahood would be impossible should the essential vow that birth in the Pure Land is possible for mortal through Nembutsu not be fulfilled. If the essential vow is not accomplished, I will not realize enlightenment for countless eons. At the same time, Amida Buddha foresaw that since the masses in the defiled world of the future would be vain and lazy, they would find it difficult to awaken faith in the essential vow. Doubt will arise regarding birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu. Even if one or two Buddhas attest to it. Therefore, having wished that all Buddhas in the 10 directions extol the essential vow, Amida Buddha stated in the 17th vow, if, when I am to attain Buddhahood, all the countless Buddhas of the 10 directions do not praise and call out my name, I will not realize enlightenment. Following this, in the essential vow, Amida Buddha stated, if, when I am to attain Buddhahood, all sentient beings who recite my name at least 10 times are not born in my Pure Land, I will not realize enlightenment. This implies that the 17th vow was created so that the intent of the 18th vow would be extolled by all of the countless Buddhas. After the fulfillment of the essential vow, all Buddhas in the 6 directions, as countless as the grains of sand in the Ganges, extended their broad and long tongues that enveloped the 3,000 great thousand worlds, and in unison attested to the teaching of birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu. Master Shantao interpreted this to mean, if in spite of the attestation of the Buddhas in the 6 directions, birth in the Pure Land is impossible for Nembutsu devotees, the extended tongues of these Buddhas will never again be retracted. They will fester and fall into decay. The non-believer of birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu will, in essence, be just like one who decomposes the tongues of all the Buddhas in the 10 directions. This should be known. To cause the decay of the tongues of 1 or 2 Buddhas is a frightening occurrence. Would we think nothing of causing the decomposition of the tongues of all the Buddhas in the 10 directions? Master Shantao said that such non-believers would be unable to extricate themselves from the 3 lower realms for a period longer than the number of particles resulting from the explosion of the earth. The 48 vows of Amida Buddha include the first vow that the three lower realms do not exist in the Pure Land. The second vow that there is no return to the three lower realms after birth in the Pure Land. And the 18th vow that all sentient beings will be born in the Pure Land through Nembutsu. Amida Buddha fulfilled the 48 vows entirely. No vow was made in vain. This is because Amida Buddha promised that he would not realize enlightenment until he succeeded in fulfilling each vow, and he did attain Buddhahood. Accordingly, if one believes in the first vow that the three lower realms do not exist in the Pure Land, how could one say that there are the three lower realms in the Pure Land? No one would have such thoughts. If one believes in the second vow that there is no return to the three lower realms after birth in the Pure Land, no one would say that after life ends in the Pure Land, one will descend into the three lower realms. If one believes in the third vow, that all beings in the Pure Land are golden in color, no one would say that some beings are gold and others are white. If one believes in the fourth vow, that there is no distinction in the personal appearance of all beings in the Pure Land, no one would say that there are beautiful ones as well as homely ones in the Pure Land. So it follows that no one doubts the fulfillment of the vows from the sixth vow that all beings in the Pure Land possess divine eyes that see countless Buddha lands, the seventh vow that all beings in the Pure Land possess divine ears that hear the teachings of countless Buddhas, the 12th vow that the light of Amida Buddha is immeasurable, the 13th vow that the life of Amida Buddha is infinite, to the 48th vow that all the bodhisattvas of other Buddha lands, on hearing the name of Amida Buddha, acquire the three kinds of wisdom. In spite of this, there remain some who simply do not believe in the 18th vow, the attainment of birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu. However, if one has no faith in this vow, it is impossible to believe in the rest of the 47 vows. Conversely, if one believes in the 47 vows, it is impossible to disbelieve only the 18th vow. Only the 18th vow. Further, if it is said that Bodhisattva Dharmakara has not attained Buddhahood, it would be an evil mockery of the teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni. If we accept his attainment of Buddhahood, would there be reason to doubt the 18th vow? The truth is that Buddha Sakyamuni proclaimed that Amida Buddha, who made these 48 vows, realized enlightenment 10 eons ago. All the Buddhas and Tathagatas in the six directions, as countless as the grains of sand in the Ganges, extended their tongues to envelop the 3,000 great thousand worlds and attested to the truth of the attainment of birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu. Who would doubt this? Master Shantao interpreted the spirit of belief in the essential vow thus: even if one or many transformed Buddhas or awarded Buddhas were to pervade the 10 directions, emitting light and enveloping the 10 directions with their tongues, and teach that the attainment of birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu is a falsehood, the Nembutsu practitioner must not have a shadow of a doubt and fall back. However, Nembutsu practitioners today are easily swayed by those with different teachings and different views and become doubtful. They become even more doubtful when they are told by the rewarded Buddhas and transformed Buddhas that birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu is a hoax. What is there to practice if they abandon this practice of Nembutsu? Those with little wisdom who open a sutra do not have the vision to study the teachings, and if they possess no wealth, they are incapable of offering alms even if they desire to. Long ago in Varanasi, India, there lived a prince. He was known as Prince Great Giver and had great sympathy for the poor. He opened his storage rooms and gave all his treasures to the needy. Eventually his riches were gone, but the poor continued to abound. The prince heard that at the bottom of the ocean was a magical gem with the power to fulfill any wish and desire of its possessor. He vowed to go to the sea in order to find the magical gem so as to share the riches with the poor. Thus he appeared before the palace of the Dragon King. Sanskrit, Naga Raja. The Dragon King was surprised and perplexed. Seeing that this was an unusual human being, he greeted the prince personally, asked him to have a seat on the floor of gems, and asked, "What do you seek, having come all this distance to my kingdom?" The prince replied, "There are so many poor people in my world, and they are all suffering. I've come to ask for the gem that you hold in your topknot." The Dragon King replied, "In that case, stay here for 7 days and receive my offerings. I will then award you the gem." The prince stayed there for 7 days and was given the magical gem. The Dragon King saw the prince off, and the prince returned quickly to the shores of his land. Many dragon deities regretted the king's decision after a while and lamented to the king, saying, "That gem is really a treasure belonging to the ocean and should be retrieved." One dragon deity decided to bring it back. He disguised himself as a human being and appeared before the prince, saying, "You are known to have acquired a most unusual and precious gem. May I see it?" When the prince showed it to him, the dragon deity snatched it away and returned to the ocean. The sorrowful prince vowed, "If the gem is not returned, I will empty the ocean." The dragon deities laughed. "You are a most foolish man. It may be possible to make the sun fall out of the sky. It may also be possible to dam a rushing river, but it would be impossible to empty the ocean." The prince replied, "I know that the benevolent bond of love between parent and child is difficult to sever, but I wish to do so. I also wish to exhaust the inexhaustible world of life and death. No matter how much water there may be in the sea, it is finite. Still, if I am not able to empty the sea, in this life, I vow I will commit many lifetimes to making the ocean dry." Having made the vow, the prince took a seashell and began to scoop out water from the ocean. The sincerity of the prince's vow touched the hearts of the heavenly beings. They all gathered round, filled the sleeves of their celestial robes with water, and emptied it beyond the Cakravarna mountains. When the prince took 1 or 2 shells full of water, he emptied 1/5 of the sea. The Dragon King panicked, thinking that he would lose his abode. He then begged the prince's forgiveness and gave back the gem. The prince returned to the capital with the magical gem and showered the people with riches. There was no one in the human world who did not receive the belongings of the prince. To hold steadfast in the face of extreme adversity is called forbearance. In the past, the benevolent Prince Great Giver crossed 10,000 leagues of ocean and succeeded in obtaining the magical gem from the Dragon King. At present, we have traversed the path that lies between the river of water, i.e. greed, and the river of fire, i.e. anger, and have attained the magical gem called the essential vow of Amida Buddha. Prince Greatgiver lost his magical gem when the dragon deities had misgivings about the relinquished gem and wished it back in their possession. We devotees of Nembutsu have also lost our faith in the essential vow due to criticism from those who hold teachings and views different from our own. Prince Greatgiver emptied the waters of the ocean with a seashell in order to retrieve the magical gem. Impressed by the prince, both the 6 heavenly beings in the realm of desire and the 4 meditative celestial beings in the realm of form helped the prince succeed in emptying the ocean. Thus, if devotees of Nembutsu, like Prince Greatgiver, with his seashell, try with implicit faith to dispose of doubt and criticism from those who hold teachings and views different from their own, all of the Buddhas in the 6 directions will extend their protective hands to enable the practitioners to achieve their goal. With great effort, the prince succeeded in emptying the ocean. The tiled roof of the palace of the Dragon King appeared, and the prince retrieved the magical gem. When the Nembutsu devotee emptied the ocean of censure, the roof of the abode of one who criticizes Nembutsu appeared, and the gem called the essential vow was retrieved. The prince regained possession of his gem and saved the poor in this world. The Nembutsu devotee must retrieve the essential vow and attain birth in the Pure Land in order to save all of the masses. It is my wish that all the practitioners of Nembutsu keep fast the gem called the essential vow of Amida Buddha and hold it deep within through faith. If you have lost it, you must speedily remove the waters of doubt and criticism with a hand from a devout heart. You must not return to this delusive world with an empty heart. Why did Amida Buddha establish the compassionate vow to make birth in the Pure Land possible through just 10 repetitions of Nembutsu, embracing all sentient beings in the 10 directions? Why can we attain birth in the Pure Land in the forms of the 3 categories after reciting the 6 syllables Namo Amituofo? For whom did Amida Buddha endeavor for countless eons? It was only so that the merit would be bestowed upon sentient beings in the future. For what reason did Amida Buddha establish the unsurpassed compassionate vow? It was to bestow upon us his compassionate wish of birth in the Pure Land for those of us who live in the period of the decline of the Dharma. How could Amida Buddha have realized enlightenment if we are not able to attain birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu? We are not able to attain birth in the Pure Land because Amida Buddha attained Buddhahood. The enlightenment of Amida Buddha enables us to attain birth in the Pure Land. Hence, we should understand the very words of his vow: if sentient beings are not born in the Pure Land, in this context. The other words of his vow: I will not realize enlightenment, verify our attainment of birth in the Pure Land, surpassing all definition. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amitabha Buddha.